What up, y'all?
Hey, y'all.
Get the music started, because we about to get into our zone real quick. So before we get started, we're gonna give you guys an introduction into who we are, because a lot of you guys are very new to our channel. And we don't like to be braggadocious, but we gotta formally introduce ourselves. Our name is Keke, and this is Keke's Key. But Keke is actually the name that we kind of go as a couple, because my name is Keith and your name is
Kiara.
And put that together, that makes Keke. And what we are here to do on YouTube is to drop a little bit of knowledge as to what it means to be self-aware. What it means to love yourself in the skin that you're in. You know what I'm saying? Because when you learn how to do that, that's when you learn how to find true happiness,
Yes.
true success, true love, and true abundance. So again, we're Keke's Key, dropping keys of knowledge in order for you to unlock your destiny, unlock your future, unlock your mind, and unlock your potential. And all of that is so that you can find the greatest treasure in life, which is true love, right? We all want to find true love. We all want to be happy out here together. You know what I'm saying? One thing that I can say is that, this woman right here, I identify her as my twin flame. I feel like she is a carbon copy of my soul.
He's mine.
Right. And so the beautiful thing about that is, when you identify your twin flame, man, when I tell you, that thing is like throwing a match inside of a bucket of gasoline. It ignites quick. It ignites quick. Everything is so poetic. Everything is so beautiful. And you just know when you know. You know what I'm saying? So one of the topics that we always thought that we should talk about on this channel is, the dynamics of a twin flame, finding your true love, what it takes to even find that, and what it feels like when you do.
And how to navigate that relationship.
Exactly. Because just because you find your twin flame, just because you find your significant other, that person that is destined to be in your life from a past life, you know what I'm saying? Because you guys, when you gotta realize when you a twin flame, you married in the spiritual realm. That you ain't this little earth thing. You know what I'm saying? This is different. When you married, and you identify by the Most High as being a cherished lover, that's different. You got to be able to identify that, but it's going to take work. It's going to take dedication in order for you to navigate the darkness to find your light. And then when you find your light, then that's when you're able to navigate through the fields so that you can find your significant other, your twin flame. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to guide the youth to being able to find themselves so that they can find each other. You know what I'm saying? So before we get into this, we got to start out our session with burning a little bit of sage so that we can clear the ambiance in this area. We can get the mood right. We can get our energy right so that we can dive into this topic and go into depth about what it is that we experience and what it is that we are currently experiencing. Because when I tell you, this right here is a job. This right here is it's a journey. It's a documentation. You know what I'm saying? Like, this right here is a journey. We documenting our journey because we still in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? I think that a lot of people would probably look at our relationship and the way we talk and the way we communicate, the vibe that we got with each other, and they will probably be like, it's easy to say all that. Y'all probably been together for years. How long have we been together, love?
About a month.
About a month. about a month. And you see this place right now, this is both of our establishments. We live together. We in the process of moving into each other, actually. A lot of people would probably look at our circumstances and be like, boy, that's you crazy. Yeah, you know, they would look at our situation and be like, y'all crazy. But here's the reason why I don't think so. The reason why I don't think so is because, I mean, I've been through hundreds of relationships. Not all of them been serious relationships, but it's been hundreds of women that I've been through. You know what I'm saying? And she has her fair share of dating.
Definitely.
So I would say that, you know, just in comparison, you know, I can tell that something's different when it's different. For me, it took a lot of darkness in my life in order to be able to find myself and be able to find, you know, what it is that I truly cherished in a relationship, what I truly felt like I needed into a relationship.
Things you value.
Right. I also think that it was important for me to go through a period of isolation in order for me to be able to hear the Most High telling me what it is that I deserve, what it is that I actually need.
And what to look for when you find the person. Because
right.
I think you definitely get signs on this is the right person, this isn't. And sometimes you just have to ask, send me that type of sign so that I know this is the right person and I can distinguish them from someone else.
Exactly. Because, I mean, it's something different when it comes down to just like finding that person. Because first of all, let's just start with.
You want to tell the story? Should we tell our story yet?
The story?
Yeah.
What?
Our 2-year story.
Oh man, the 2-year story.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it kind of goes aligned with twin flames because you have the chaser and you have the runner with twin flames.
Right.
If people aren't familiar, normally with twin flames, you have a chaser and you have somebody who's a runner. So a lot of times when twin flames encounter each other, they run from each other, but then they chase each other, and there's normally a pattern of chasing and running.
Right. Who do you think was the runner and the chaser?
I think you were the runner. I think you were the runner.
She throwing me under the bus, y'all. She throwing me under the bus. Well,
we got to go back to 2021 then to tell what happened.
All right. So in the comment section, when we tell the story, I want y'all to let us know who you thought was the runner and who was the chaser. I'm thinking she might be right.
Okay.
All right, so
May 2021.
May 2021. We ended up meeting on
early May because my birthday is mid-May, May 19th, and we actually went on a date before my birthday.
Right.
And we may have met like late April then because I want to say it was like the first or second week in May when we actually went on that date.
Okay,
like May 10th or something like that.
Right. And so we went on that date to Frogger's. It was like this little bar, It's like a sports bar or something like that, a bar and grill. And
just to let y'all know, like this was at a time where I really was not trying to date anyone. So if you could actually get me to go out of the house and go on a date with you, then I must have had something special about you to make me want to do that.
See. Look. Hey, Team Keith in the chat or Team Keith in the comments.
So
if you feel like she the chaser. Oh, no. If you feel like she the runner, you know what I'm saying? Team Keith in the comments if you feel like she the runner. But, so let me get it straight. So April of 2021 is when we actually met, and we met through a dating app, which was what? It was either Tinder or Hinge, one of them.
No clue.
It was either Tinder or Hinge.
That's all.
And so we met. We had what, like a terrific date.
Yeah, we had a really good date.
It was a really good date. Like the conversation was flowing. It was like it was a good vibe. You know, everything was good.
It was very relaxed is what I remember. Like I didn't feel uncomfortable. I wasn't jittery or like I just felt like I was out with somebody who I already knew.
Right.
It's kind of how it felt.
So with that being said, like I said, right, this was what, April 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And what did we say? We've been together now for about a month.
Mm-hmm.
So we had this amazing date.
Ago.
We had this amazing date, right?
Mm-hmm.
Great conversation. After the date, like she ended up at my house.
Not for any crazy reason, you guys. We literally sat there and we were watching TV, just talking, and we just talked like that whole time I was there.
Yeah, like we was just having a good time. Like we watched, I think we was watching like a little, like maybe a scary movie or something like that or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I had lived, like my apartment complex was literally like less than 5 minutes away from the place that we was eating at, and so we didn't want to end the date at that point when we just wanted, like when we wanted to get up and leave, like we just didn't want the date to end. So I was just like, okay, well, are you okay with coming to my crib? And she was like, yeah, I'm all right. And so I invited her over.
Don't go with strangers, y'all. But so I'm not condoning that. But I was very comfortable and I was very trusting.
Right.
I guarantee my friends knew my location too.
Well, that part. So I invited her to my place. We watched movies. We had a great conversation at my place or whatever. And then everything pretty much just, you know, like once it got late, you know, I said goodnight to her, told her, hey, look, you know, you should probably get home. And, you know, I escorted her to her car. She left, and then, you know, that was it. I think that was literally the last time we saw each other. It was the first.
You gave me a hug, and that was it. I got in the car.
Yeah, it was the first and the last time we saw each other for the span of 2 years, right? Now, a lot of people would probably hear that and they would probably be like, well, damn, what happened?
Right.
Well, we communicated, you know, afterwards. You know, we communicated afterwards, and we was texting and stuff like that. The text messages, they were good.
Normal,
Normal conversation or whatever.
How's work going? The normal things that you might ask someone for about a month.
Yeah. And then I think that at some point, you know, we kind of just both kind of let it fizzle. You know, no reason. There was literally like no reason behind it. And I think that, you know, looking at it from like, you know, from now to back then, I think that we were both just going through things, or we had been going through things that we didn't necessarily feel like, you know,
ready for a relationship or seriousness at that time either.
Right. So I think that it was just one of them times where you meet the right person at the wrong time.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? So then, you know, we go through, you know, that whole thing where we kind of ghosted each other.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we kind of ghosted each other. So at this point, you know, we had a great first date, great communication afterwards, and then next thing you know, it just ceased. Like
nothing else.
Right? And then we end up both going through, you know, finding other people, landing into other relationships, going through situations that took us highs, like through highs and lows. Roller coasters, right?
Yes.
And so to make a long story short, I mean, we both went through hell and high water through these relationships and trying to make them work.
Yes.
And I felt like it probably just like it got us to a point where we spiritually, you know, like we became way more spiritual through these processes. Definitely. You know, gaining
a lot of self-discovery.
A lot of self-discovery. You know, we never gave up hope on finding that love, but we just knew after a while, you sharpening your sword. You know what I'm saying? Like every rough thing that you're going up against is sharpening your sword. That's how it felt like for me, where it was just like, you know, this person didn't work out. All right, go to the next person. How do I learn from that and bring it into the next relationship or whatever, and I kind of went through 2 different relationships dealing with that process, right? For her,
I went through 1 relationship dealing with that same process. And during that time period, I was going through counseling, I was taking classes about self-awareness, and as I feel like as I've started to become more self-aware, I started to realize that this type of relationship that I was in was not a valuable relationship for who I was and who I was discovering, that I was becoming and who I wanted to be in the future. It didn't seem like it was going to be a compatible relationship for me at all.
yeah,
And I think that once I realized, okay, this is just not going to work, that's where I ended up back in the playing field again. Like, this is not working out. And
right.
It was because I discovered who I really was and the things that I needed and the things that I value that are important to me.
Right. And and you said something key to me that helps you figure out that self-discovery.
Mm-hmm.
And you said that you went to therapy,
Yes.
therapy.
Yes, I did. And I still continue to go to therapy. So, part of therapy, some people get the stigma that you go to therapy and because you have all these mental issues, but therapy is a great way to figure out who you are. For me personally, my therapist gave me activities. I took a lot of different quizzes to find out what my attachment style is, to find out how I communicate, and just overall, she taught me how to set certain boundaries for myself, whether it was with friends and relationships or even with family. And for me, that was something that I struggled with a lot, was setting boundaries and then sticking to my boundaries. And once I figured out, okay, this was my boundary and somebody crossed that boundary in the relationship, I knew that this was not going to work out for who I am.
Yeah. All right. I mean, therapy is always a beautiful thing. I also went through therapy, during my stint through the 2 years that it took for us to relink. So I definitely did therapy. I don't think that I stuck with it, mostly because of the simple fact that I had a therapist that kind of was reassuring me that there wasn't much wrong with my mind and the way that I was thinking, but more so the way I was selecting.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Like I was selecting people for all the wrong reasons. I was selecting people out of desperation. I was selecting people because of, all just reasons that was outside of what it is that I truly needed from a relationship. I was selecting people for the way they looked. I was selecting people for the career that they had, how much money they made, how good they looked next to me. All different types of things I was selecting people for. And so when I ended up realizing that it wasn't about my mind, there wasn't nothing broken in my mind, there was everything broken about my expectations for people. That's when I started to kind of gear away from, therapy, because when I tell you my therapist was just agreeing with everything that I was saying. So it just meant for me, like what I was gathering from the therapist was, okay, if I'm not wrong in the way I feel, then the people that I'm dealing with is the wrong, right? I'm dealing with people who aren't able to communicate with me. I'm dealing with people who aren't able to see eye to eye with me. I'm dealing with people who don't have, a good sense of rational thinking along with emotional thinking, So I kind of was dealing with people that just was not self-aware as I was, right? So I kind of geared away from therapy, and I started to kind of dabble into, I'm a different type of learner, okay, than my spouse here. I'm a different type of learner. For me, I'm a very visual and a listening type of learner, right? So I started to get into YouTube University really hard. I started to hear people out on YouTube, and I'm sorry that I'm not able to like tag people like, you know, right now, or like mention names right now, because I listen to a plethora of people and their platforms and try to gather as much information as I possibly could in order to, you know, gain some type of direction to lead myself towards a better path. So I'm sorry I'm not able to plug anybody in right now, but when I tell you, it's so, I thank YouTube a lot because of the simple fact that it's been able to, you know, bring me so far into my journey. So, you know, my process of self-awareness, you know, definitely came from a lot of these, you know, these wonderful individuals on YouTube that was just sharing their journey and sharing their path, kind of like the same way that we're trying to. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's still the same path. It's still the same path that I had to go through. I had to go through a path of self-awareness to figure out what it was that I truly needed. And it was these YouTube videos and these people, well, I call them YouTube gurus. They don't self-proclaim themselves as that, but I call them gurus because that's how I saw them. You know what I'm saying? I saw them as mentors for me. And I listened to them. I practiced some of the things that they put forth into their videos as like things that worked for them. Things that worked for me, I kept. Things that didn't, I left to the side. You know what I'm saying? But ultimately, you know, a lot of this rabbit hole that I went to ultimately brought me closer to my spirituality. It brought me closer to God. It got me going to church a lot more. It got me praying a lot more. And then it also, you know, opened up my eyes to the fact that, you know, everything in my life thus far at this point that I was at had been taken care of by God. So it restored that faith in me that my future is going to be taken care of by God in the same miraculous way. And I didn't need to necessarily stress it or worry it or be searching so hard for it. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of got to that self-realization in a different way than she did, but it was still the same type of journey that I had to go through. I had to go through what's called shadow work, where you go into a deep, dark portion of your mind and you start to think about that child in you. And you start to wonder, you know, how was that child happy back in the day in a way that you're not happy now? And then when you start to put those pieces to the picture together and you start to look at yourself in a different light and be like, okay, I know what it is that I truly like as a person. I know what I truly value as a person, and I need to stay true to that in order to gain true happiness, right? For me, it was all about being able to communicate effectively. You know, me not having that voice as a child and always being kind of muffled out by whether it was my mother, my aunts, my grandma, whatever the case may be, my voice was always taken away. And that always made me sad. It always made me sad to not be listened to not have my opinion, you know, matter, or whatever the case may be. So communication was a huge thing for me. So when I came down to trying to figure out like, what's the difference, you know, what's going to be the difference maker in a relationship, that was the first thing that I realized that I needed to find. And so when I ended up, you know, looking back at these relationships that I had, you know, I was realizing that a lot of the issues came from me not being able to talk, you know, and communicate with these people effectively. And so that arose a lot of resentment, that arose a lot of problems, a lot of arguments, and those arguments would never go anywhere because these people were not able to communicate with me. So, you know, for me, I think that leading up to the second meeting, which was crazy, it was crazy the way we met up again, but it was through a dating app again. So we ended up meeting again on Hinge.
Yeah, and I kid you not, it was like the same day that I put the app back on my phone. one of the first messages I seen was his message, and I mean, I literally still had my old profile stuff on there from 2021 or whatever when I had it. And I think you said something like, there's the face that I haven't seen that I'm happy to see. Do you have the same number? And I was like, yeah. And we got on the app. He called me and we ended up talking until the next morning. I was very tired. I had to go to work at 7 o'clock, and I think we got off the phone at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. It's just like that. It was like, I remember seeing her face. So I had already had downloaded, because I had got out of my previous relationship like maybe a couple months before that, right? Before we actually met. So, you know, I was dating somebody that went south. You know, I thought that this person was going to be like you know, but then they couldn't communicate with me. You know, they couldn't communicate with me. And so it went south. And then we broke up. And then I got the Hinge app again. And then I just was like, you know, on there, just not even really with no expectations. I was just trying to communicate with people, just seeing how they communicate. And then I end up going on there one day or whatever, and I see her face, and I was like, yo, I know her. And I'm just starting to think, like, in my head, I'm like, dang, you know, like, whatever happened with that? You know, like, we had an amazing date. Like, we had a good time. Like, whatever happened with that? So I was just like hoping and praying. I was just like, man, you know, I hope that because for me, I'm like, you know I do that all the time. You know, sometimes I just don't even like follow up with stuff or whatever. So I kind of go ghost, right?
Me too.
So for me, I'm just like, I pray that she hits me back up. So I end up swiping on her or whatever, and she matched with me. And so right when she matched with me, I hurried up and hit her up. I was like, oh, you know, that's a familiar face I haven't seen in a long time. And then I left it at that. I was just like, let's see where she take it.
I was like, hey, how you been?
You're right.
How have you been?
Because if she would have hit me up and been like on some hostility, I would have been like, it's
an L.
It's an L. I'm just gonna have to take that, put it in my pocket. Go ahead, yeah, you know, because I already knew. I was like, you know, we stopped talking. I didn't have no reason to stop talking to her. I could see how that could be messed up in her perspective, right? But I went and I shot. You know, I shot my shot. You know, I took my shot. You know, and it was successful. So I ended up hitting her up, and you know, she responded very well. And then we ended up talking, you know, maybe it was probably like 5 messages on Hinge before we ended up getting on the phone.
Like, yeah, forget this. Just call me.
So we ended up talking on the phone, like she said, till what, like 6 o'clock in the morning. This was like on a Sunday.
Yeah.
You know, like this was on a Sunday.
And we started talking at like 4 or 5 o'clock or something, I want to say.
Yeah, it was like real. Like, and when I say 4 or 5 o'clock, like we talking about like in the afternoon.
The day before.
Yeah, like we started like the day before, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, didn't get off the phone until 6 o'clock in the morning the next day. You know,
I think the phone timed out like once or twice or something.
Yeah, you know how when you on the phone for too long, and then your phone just like
hangs up.
It just hangs up. It'd be like, they probably sleep. Nah, we wasn't asleep. We was just on the phone. We was chatting it up. But yeah, we was just on the phone for that long, yo. And it was just like we were talking about like everything under the sun. And it was in that process I realized for me, I was like, yo, like I'm really able to talk to this girl. Like I haven't had a conversation like this since like high school. You know? And so I was just like, dang, I could talk to this girl. And then, you know, we ended up deciding that we was gonna hang out again. So we hung out, and you know, it wasn't no date. You know, we knew each other at this point, so I invited her to my place again. We didn't do nothing again.
Just putting it out there.
Yeah, we didn't do nothing again.
My
so
location was shared.
Right. She wasn't no one date tape. No, you know what I'm saying?
Not at all.
You know, I respected her from day one. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I invited her to my place. We talked. You know, we watched movies. She came over looking banging. I mean, Jesus, if you haven't seen this woman in her body, oh my God. Oh my God, I'm lucky. But when I just remember when she got out that car, I was just beating myself up even more because I was just like, damn, what happened?
Where did we go wrong? Then I seen him, I was like, ooh, he nice and tall, I remember. And he has these pretty eyes and this nice smile. if pretty was a person in the male form.
But you know, it was sparks. It was sparks. Like, it was almost like, you know, the 2 years that had went by, it was like it never went by.
Like it was like pick up where you left off.
We picked up right where we left off. It was such a beautiful feeling, and it just felt like ever since then we haven't ran out of something to talk about.
Nope.
You know, we haven't ran out of anything, you know, any good feelings towards each other and all this different type of stuff. And I know people was gonna say like, oh, that's that honeymoon phase, that's that puppy dog phase. But when I tell you, I'm not bullshitting when I say like I cannot even remember the names of a lot of the women that I've dealt with in my life. I can tell you for sure, and I've expressed this to Kiera, that it's definitely within the triple digits. You know, I've been in the military, I've been a Marine, I've traveled, I've been a lot of places, I've met a lot of people. I'm a very attractive guy or whatever, so my options were not limited. You know, so I've had a very large platter of women to compare. You know what I'm saying? I've had honeymoon phases. Sorry about that. My Bluetooth speaker is acting up, but it's all good. Okay, whatever. It is what it is. We disconnected the speaker. But anyways, you know, I've had my plethora of, you know, experiences in the honeymoon phase, and this ain't it. You know, this right here is something completely different. Yes, does it feel similar? It does, but no, it's also very different. Like, I would explain it the way we kind of feel about each other as of this moment right now. The way we kind of feel about each other is like, it's almost like we knew each other from a past lifetime, or we've known each other for our whole lives, and we just kind of like remembering that shit right now. You know? And excuse my language if I'm cussing too much for anybody out there or whatever, but you know, I'm from New York. She from New Jersey. She don't cuss as much as I do, but I'm a New Yorker, so you're just gonna have to get used to it. I'm that guy. You know what I'm saying? But you know, that's just how it kind of feels. Like, as of this moment right now, that's kind of how it feels. It feels like we've always known each other, and it's just taken us this long to remember that. You know what I'm saying?
I think, like, for me, it was just knowing that a lot of our experiences also were just very similar. Like, thinking about, he from New York, I'm born in New Jersey, I move out to Texas, he's in Louisiana, he's in Georgia, I moved back to the East Coast, I'm in North Carolina, I'm in Virginia. It's like we kind of just followed each other throughout the course of life, and even some of our things that we went through in relationships were just very, very similar. It was almost to the point where I'd be like, did you go through this too? Did this happen to you too? For real?
And to kind of break it down, so what she's kind of talking about is like us identifying with the fact that we're twin flames. You feel me? So, you know, because that's not a term that I would really take lightly, especially when I came down to me going into my journey of spirituality, and, you know, I'm learning all of these terms for the first time or whatever. You know, I don't take that lightly. You know what I'm saying? So when it came down to us identifying as twin flames, it really it came down to like everything to the down to the T. You know what I'm saying? Like she said, from where we were born like right across the river. You know what I'm saying? Like, we were born right across the river. And so then, you know, we ended up moving down south around the same time. You know what I'm saying? And so we were never really like in the same state, but we were like a state over.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, if I was in, you know, North Carolina, you know what I'm saying, in Jacksonville, North Carolina, she was in Charlotte.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like same state, different cities. You know what I'm saying? I was in New Orleans, she was in Houston.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's a 5-hour drive. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like then next thing you know, like, you know, Florida, we both end up in Florida.
And
you know
we
what I'm
in
saying?
the same area. Like on our first date in 2021, we were literally 10 minutes from each other.
Not even 10 minutes. It's like a 5-minute drive from each other. So it was like our whole lives we were following each other.
Right.
We were never like it was almost like God had like a destined path for us. Like, yo, y'all gotta meet. Y'all gotta meet.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all gotta meet. Y'all gotta meet. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So we realized that. And then on top of that, we figuring out like all of these different experiences that we went through in life. You know what I'm saying? Like with both of us being mad skinny.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like we were mad skinny. You know what I'm saying? Like both of us being bullied when we was young.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Both of us, and this is, you know, I know that this is a sensitive topic, but at this point, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm very open about this. You know what I'm saying? But both of us being like, you know, molested or raped, you know, when we was young at like 5 years old. It's crazy, like the number. You know what I'm saying? Like it's the same age. So it was just like it's a lot of shit, you know, that we went through. You know, just to keep the story short, but it's a lot of experiences that we went through. Even when it comes down to like the experiences that our mothers had, or you know, our family members had, or whatever, that took a toll on our minds, or whatever. Like identical. You know what I'm saying? The way we speak, the way we articulate, our emotional awareness, our spirituality, the things that we practice, the things that we believe in, it's all the same. It was to the point where we just had met each other and we was like finishing each other's sentences and shit. It was like literally being like a twin.
Look, sometimes you're like, I had to tell him, I wish you would get out of my mind and stop saying it. I should have just said it when I started thinking about it, because he'll say it before I get a chance to say it. Like, get out of my head.
It's weird, yo. Like, it's so weird. It's so weird. Like, I really don't know how to, like, I don't know how, like, it can be possible for something like this to go down.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because, like, before I met her, I didn't think any of this was real. I heard it, you know, and I indulged into it or whatever. And, you know, I held hope that, you know, maybe God would deliver me somebody like that, like a twin flame, into my life one day or whatever. But then at the same time, I kind of went with the same kind of aspect where your twin flame don't necessarily have to be in a romantic way.
Right.
You could have a twin flame cousin. You could have a twin flame best friend.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But, you know, like the odds of you end up having a twin flame relationship.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like that was like, it's mind blowing to me, like how real it is. And then it was kind of like, you know, when I met her, it was almost like, not that I didn't know that God was real, but it was almost like the period at the end of the sentence, like period, Pooh. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and that's
like
on period.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how it was just like that reassurance, yo, like this, yo, God is out here.
Right.
Yo, everything really does have divine timing.
Right.
Yo, everything really does
make somebody just for you, really.
Right. And so like that's the thing, is just like, you know, once we realized that, we kind of realized like we saw, and this is how God works, right? This is how God works. He always delivers a blessing, and then he, like, when you get that blessing, you realize how all the lessons tied into that. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, as soon as I met her, it was like how I started to piece together things that was in my past that just led up to this. And I was like, dang, this is why I went through that. Right. Dang, this is why I had to experience this person. Right. Because now I'm able to communicate, or now I'm able to relate. Now I'm able to, you know, identify. Now I'm able to freaking, you know, to hold on and cherish the things that I freaking, you know, that I see is worthy of my love and worthy of my attention. You know what I'm saying? So it's like all of those little things, I like to say, connect the dots. You know what I'm saying? You remember those little games that we had to play in elementary school where they had the numbers on the dots and you had to connect the dots to draw the picture? That's how it felt. It was like when I met her, that was the last dot that I had to connect in order to see the bigger picture, you know? And it was such a beautiful feeling. And everything just like, when I tell you, like, it was like throwing a match inside of a bucket of gasoline, that woof, the flames just went wild. It came to the point where we just started to progress so fast. Like, how fast did we progress, babe?
2-3 weeks.
What? Two, 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah, like 2-3 weeks. Like, we was already ready to be serious.
Right.
And when I tell you that this is something different, yo, ask any of my exes. Anybody you can find that dated Markeith Dashim Hall, you know what I'm saying? Ask anybody you can find how I operated. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was on like a 6-month minimum, you know, when it came down to figuring out whether or not I wanted to be with somebody or not. It took at least a half a year. And I was firm on that. I was like, yo, you can't pressure me into no relationship. I need to know whether or not I want to be with you. You know what I'm saying? So there was people that had problems with that. You know what I'm saying? There's people who had major problems with that I was not moving as fast as they wanted me to move.
Yeah.
But it was completely opposite for this girl. My bad. Woman. It was completely opposite for this woman, yo. Like, when I tell you I met her, and it was like, it almost instantly, it was like the night that we had that all night conversation, that night that I got off the phone and I only got like an hour or two of sleep before I had to go to work. That hour or two of sleep, I was not sleeping. I was thinking like, dang, like, I really want to be with this girl. Like, I really want to be with this girl. I want to be with this girl. Like, I knew it. Like, I knew it from the jump. You know what I'm saying?
And I think that's what I admired too, was the fact that you put that out there. Like, he literally came over to my house and was like, hey, well, matter of fact, I think you called me or messaged me earlier that day and was like, hey, I need to talk to you about something later on. And I'm like, okay. And you literally put it out there and asked and was like, what do you think about this? Because I think in a lot of times, for me in the past, I just fell into relationships where it was never like, hey, I think we should be together. I think you're the right person for me. And nobody provided me that type of reassurance. It was just like, one day you're my girlfriend. You know, like, nobody said, hey, will you be my girlfriend? It was just like, oh, you're here all the time. I guess we date now.
Right.
You know?
It was crazy. Now, I mean, we talking about like all these amazing realizations and stuff like that or whatever, but you know, at the same time, you know, like, it didn't come without tribulations.
Mm-mm.
It didn't come without tribulations.
It wasn't easy.
You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, I'll be the first one to admit, you know what I'm saying, I was on some wild shit in the beginning. You know, I told her I wanted to be, you know, like, I wanted to be polygamous.
Yeah, and I was not having that.
So, you know, in my journey of spirituality or whatever, you know, I ended up going down the path, and I honestly feel like it was God putting me down another test, you know, in order for him to be like, yo, like, you know, I crafted this for you. Let's see if you're going to fuck it up. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, you know, I got close to fucking it up.
He tested them waters.
But, you know, the way she kind of navigated it, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's also what kind of made me realize that, man, this is, you know, that path ain't the path that I want to take. This is where I actually want to be. Because she actually allowed me the opportunity to go and test that water. You know what I'm saying? Because there was somebody that I was also feeling, you know, that I had thought that I had like a spiritual connection with as well, that had me feeling that way, where I was like, yo, it's possible for me to love multiple people. You know what I'm saying? And so she was like, listen, you know, like, I understand that you had, you know, arrangements before we linked up or whatever. You know, you could go on the date and and we'll take it from there, right? So I ended up going on that date with this person or whatever, and it was a magnificent date or whatever. I get off the date and I tell her, yo, I do really want to do this polygamy thing or whatever, and she was like, not having it. And we had like a very heartfelt conversation. We both ended up in tears or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And then, she ended up, leaving my apartment, going back home. And then I forgot what it was that got me over here.
My cord from my work computer.
Oh yeah, she had left because she was staying with me at my place for a little bit, so she was working from my place, right? Like I'm telling you, we hadn't even been like 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Right.
2 weeks.
We just knew we didn't want to be. I don't want to go home by myself. Okay, well I'm coming over there.
Right. 2 weeks. Right. So she was working out of my place, and then she ended up going home, and then she was like, hey, I need the cord for my computer. So I was like, all right, bet, I'll come and bring it over, right? So I come over, and then, we ended up, talking and listening to music or whatever, and it was just like in the middle of, us, listening to music, and we was kind of just quiet for a little bit, and we was just listening to music. And it was in that moment where I was just like, damn, like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, this is literally the best I have ever felt with anybody. Like, what the hell am I doing? I'm literally losing it right now, right? So then it was just like, we ended up getting into, re-establishing the conversation or whatever, and I think for her, she probably realized like, yo, he done flipped the whole switch. You know what I'm saying? Because I was just like, nah, it ain't even worth it. Like, I'm not going to lose you over this. I'm not going to lose you over that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm done. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. Like, I want you. Like, I know for a fact that this is different than anything that I've ever felt. Like, I understand if you second guessing it because of everything that, has taken place or whatever the case may be, but nah, this is what I want. So she needed me to reassure her that I wasn't going to change my mind. So I just knew that I needed to step up my game from that point on to just be like, yo, nah, I'm here. This is it. This is what I want. Like, I've made up my mind. I chose you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm choosing you, right? And this is the first time in my life that I've ever been in a relationship that I actually chose. You know what I'm saying? I've always been pressured into a relationship. I've always been guilt-tripped into a relationship. And this is the first time that I've ever, like, off the gate, within a month, I was like, nah, this is it. This is it. This is what I need. This is what I want. This is what I gotta have, right? And that conversation that we had when I was over there, like, what was you going through? Like, what was, like, what?
My mindset? I was torn because I'm like, I don't know if I should still try to pursue something with someone if he could change his mind again, like he might decide later on down the line, nah, I'm good. I still want more than just you. So I was definitely conflicted, but at the same time, I felt like you were my person, and that's why it was pretty hurtful for me at the time, because I'm like, I don't see it being anybody else. Like, this can't be it, God. Like, this can't be the way that it's supposed to be, because I felt strongly like, God, I would not be okay with that. So if this is the right person for me, then I'm not going to be okay with that. And I think that when you decided and you chose, then it was clear for me at that moment too, because had it gone any other way, I'm like, okay, well, I guess he's just not the person for me, because I think, God, you know me well enough to know that I would never choose that type of situation for my own self.
Right.
And I think I had even told you that too, like, I would not ever choose that for, can't see myself choosing that for myself. Now, I'm not a jealous type of female where I'm like, okay, you can have friends and stuff like that and mutual connections. Shoot, I want the friends too. But on the romantic side, I knew for sure I only want one person, and I want it to be mutual.
Right.
So.
And it just took, I felt like, that whole situation was more so a test on my half, You know, it was definitely a test on my half, y'all, because, you know, for me, you know, I felt like commitment was definitely one of those things that I was extremely afraid of because of the pain that I had went through in my past. You know, I had been, you know, my first love had betrayed me in a way that was just unforgivable. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had been physically abused. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had been cheated on. You know, she had got pregnant by somebody else and decided to marry that man. That's how our 2.5-year relationship ended up ending. You know what I'm saying? Throughout the abuse, throughout the, you know, all of the possessiveness, making me get rid of all of my friends and all this different type of stuff. And then that's what you thank me with? That's how you give, you know, you return that, you know, by cheating on me and marrying somebody else with their baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, so for me, commitment was something that I was like, you know, I got to be very particular about. You know what I'm saying? So for me, when it came down to that whole situation, I felt like that was a big test that God was waiting for me to pass. And so, you know, for me, you know, that was the greatest life lesson that I had learned in my life thus far, is, you know, learning, you know, how to identify the right person and how to commit instantaneously to the right person. You know, that was very key for me. And so like I said, it was a test on my half, but after I passed, it was just like everything fell into place like never before. You know, like I have never experienced in my life the type of ease, like the type of ease that I've experienced in this relationship. Like, how easy has it been for you?
Definitely feels easy. I think that even just like sitting on the couch and him being here, you know, like with me and me being with him, I think I told him earlier, like I never lived with someone or even dated someone where I wasn't like, okay, so when they leaving, because I feel super annoyed right now. Or you leave this cup on my table one more time, I'm gonna lose it. And you know, for him, it's just like unconditional love. Like, I don't think you could do anything that would really just upset me. I'll just be like, oh, that's just Markeith. Okay, that's all right. I'll be like that sometimes too. You know, so for me, it just feels extremely easy. It's like having a best friend who sometimes, like at nighttime when we're having our conversations, I'm like, dang, I know we gotta go to sleep, we gotta get up for work, but I don't want the conversation to end. And then the next day I'm looking forward to that again.
Yeah.
Like, I can't wait till you get home so we can talk, and we're gonna repeat the same pattern. I might have some sleep debt from being up so much now, because I normally would be asleep, but I don't even care most of the time.
Yeah, man. You know what she said about the part about like what typically would, like, you know, drive us nuts. Mm-hmm. You know, it's crazy. It's so crazy, because it's just like I actually think about that. Like, I actually think about that in my head often. Like, I be like, yo, like I know for a fact that I've been with people where this same thing annoyed the hell out of me.
And it's just,
you know what I'm saying? Like it's just them, you know? Like, it's just like, like I would, like, yo, for instance, like, and this is probably something that you probably don't even notice that you do, but like you always look at me randomly. Like, you just be looking at me randomly, yo. Like you'll just you just be sitting and you'll be doing your own thing, and then you'll just look, and then you'll look randomly, right? And so for me, like, I remember, yo, I swear on everything, I've had the biggest argument with one of my exes before, because she would just look at me all the time. And I swear one time I just blew up. I was like, the fuck are you looking at, yo? Like, why are you looking at me? And she was like, what? Like, what? I'm just looking. Like, what? I can't look at you now? I was like, you always just randomly looking at me. Like, can I just live? Can I breathe? Like, yo, like, I swear. But like now, like I'm telling you, it's weird. Like, she look at me or whatever, and it's like I look at her and I smile. You know what I'm saying? Like I just be like, what you looking at? You know what I'm saying? Like it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? And again, you know, I really don't give a fuck about how anybody feel. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't give a fuck about anybody's opinion. You know, like, anybody that knows Markeith, they know I don't give a fuck about anybody's opinion. So you can sit there and you can say, oh, they just on that puppy dog shit. Or they just on that, you know, that beginning lovebird shit. You know what I'm saying? You're entitled to your opinion. I don't give a fuck about you. You can leave this channel. You know what I'm saying? But for me, bro, when I tell you it's different, like, when I tell you, like, it's just different. Like, I ain't even got no better words to really explain it. It's just different, you know? And I'm not exaggerating when I tell you, like, this relationship is built different. You know, this relationship, like, I'm already at the point where, you know what I'm saying? Like, I am thinking about next stages. Like, all right, how much is the ring gonna cost? You know what I'm saying? Like we already moving in with each other. Like, it's been a month. You know what I'm saying? Like, if that doesn't give you signs that, yo, this is different, trust me, I'm not stupid. She's not stupid. We're very intelligent people. We're very intellectual. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're both from up north, so you know we ain't soft. You know, like, we're not on that play shit. Right. You know what I'm saying? So
not easily trusting.
Not easily trusting. You know what I'm saying? She's from Newark. I'm from freaking, you know, Long Island. I mean, people gonna say what they say about Long Island or whatever, but when you from Wyandanch, you know. You know what I'm saying? But like, it's not. We're not from no soft world. You know what I'm saying? We don't believe in that fairy tale shit. So when it comes down to the way we operate and the way things have been, like, progressing, it's literally God sent. You know, like, all I could really say is that my angels have been on my side the entire time. My ancestors have been on my side the entire time. The divine, Jesus, God, whoever you want to identify as the Most High, has been on my side the entire time, teaching me and guiding me in order to find this woman right here. And when I found her, it progressed in a manner that it's almost like when Moses split the Red Sea. God was like, you getting out of Egypt. You getting out of Egypt. I'm taking you to safety. And guess what? When they come after you, they destroyed. It's the same thing. Divine destiny. When I tell you I'm in love with this woman, after what? 2 weeks of knowing her, I was in love with this woman. You know what I'm saying? And that's because I have found the person that I had knew from a different past, a different lifetime. You know, we have been married a long time. I can already feel that in my spirit, in my heart. We have been married for a long time. Now we just finally getting back to this reiteration of a new life together. You know what I'm saying? That's how I know. I have that spiritual intuition that this is my person. Like, this is who I was meant to be with all along. It's too big of a coincidence can't be a coincidence.
At all.
I'm just gonna let that settle into you. Anything that's too big of a coincidence just ain't no coincidence.
It's fate at that point.
It's fate. This relationship was God sent. These are the things that we recognize within each other or within the experience in order to realize that this was our divine fate. This is my God ordained spouse, my twin flame spouse. I know that. Every fiber in my being screams that. And I promise you, I'm not a love sick. I'm not a hopeless romantic type. But for whatever reason, when I met her, all of a sudden, I'm buying flowers and candy and shit. I never do that.
You're a puppy.
What?
I said you a puppy. Oh, puppy.
You know?
My babe.
Like, I've been a very stone, like hard, very stone cold individual when it came down to my love life. You know, because I had been through very stone cold situations in my past where it made me feel like, you know, women didn't appreciate a good man. Women didn't, you know what was in front of them. Women didn't have the foresight to be able to make good decisions in their life. This is what I firmly believe. So I started to treat women like how I saw them, ignorant.
I think I just dealt with a lot of emotionally unavailable men. So when you came along and I seen that you were able to express your emotions and able to communicate, and you know, like that day when we had separated, I seen you cry and I'm like, oh, you know, it just told me, okay, he's emotionally available and he's very aware of himself, and that makes a big difference in relationships. Because a lot of men put up that guard where they feel like emotions and showing emotions is a sign of weakness, and I actually think it's a sign of strength. So,
yeah, you know, we don't really want this video to be too long, but to end it out, I think I want to talk about, you know, just like, let's say three good aspects, or three deciding factors to, you know, to realizing, you know, that person is that person.
okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, if you want to start with yours, you can give, you know, take a quick second to think about it.
Okay.
Or whatever.
Well, I will say, first of all, you pray on it. So for me, it definitely was a prayer to God. Like, is this the right person for me? You know, and I think that you have to have that relationship established, or, you know, you have to be in your spiritual to really know when it's a yes versus this is a no. You know, and so many times I asked that question and it was a no. You know, and then you still keep going anyway, and you know, those type of relationships just got worse instead of better. So I definitely say, number one, pray on it. Number two, you know, and then get your answer. And if it's yes, then okay, you just trust that. You have faith in that. Number two, I would say when the person's values align with your values, and the things that are important to you are also important to them. And, you know, like for me, it was family. I know how you are with your family, and your relationship with your mom is very similar to my relationship with my mom. So I think that you find somebody who matches your values, then that's a good indication that might be the right person for you. And number three,
I thought that was three.
Oh, okay, well, that's three.
Yeah, I thought that was three.
Okay, I'll take that. Look, I just go.
Man, I don't even know how I'm gonna top that. Nah, I ain't even gonna try to top it. It ain't no competition. It's not a competition, y'all. I'm not gonna top it. But what I will say, what I will say is, you know, for me personally, my three deciding factors on that person being that person. For one, like being able to communicate. You know, like when you're able to have that ebb and flow with communication to the point where it's like a tumbling ball. It's like a snowball effect where it just like, you know, one topic turns into like a million, you know, and
watch one reel and it turns into you've been watching them for an hour.
Right. You know what I'm saying? It's just like one of those things where it's just kind of like, you know, no matter what the conversation is, I mean, you guys can ping pong, you know, thoughts off of each other, and you're able to collect, you know, more intel off of a different perspective, and that you leave that conversation feeling fulfilled and feeling like you've gained something from it. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, for me, I've always struggled, you know, with being able to have communication, or being able to be intellectually stimulated with my peers, because I've always been very advanced you know, for my age. So a lot of people would be on this little dumb kid shit, or they still be doing dumb shit while I'm progressing so fast beyond them, where my mind is light years ahead, thinking of different things. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, the fact that, you know, I found somebody that was just on that same wavelength, you know, like it was just like the frequency, it was just vibing. You know what I'm saying? Like we was able to just match that frequency. You know what I'm saying? Like that was key for me. Like I was able to actually get along with somebody. And effortlessly, to the point where the next day I wanted, the first thing I wanted to do was say good morning. You know, the first thing that I wanted to do was, you know, be like, how are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Because I wanted that communication to start again. You know what I'm saying? So that's number one. Me being able to find that person I could communicate with effortlessly. Number two is a level of honesty. You know what I'm saying? Being able to have literally like unbarred honesty. Like being able to tell somebody exactly how you feel and exactly what you expect and exactly what you want, and they accept it or they don't. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. And it's just like no lies. I mean, what did I tell you? I was like, this is what I got in my phone. Right. You know what I'm saying? I was like, this is what I got in my phone. So if you go, I'm not the type to freaking delete shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm too lazy. I'm too lazy to go through my fucking, I got 17,000 photos in my freaking phone. I'm too lazy to go through my shit and delete all of the butt naked photos, all of the dick pics. I'm too lazy to delete all that shit. So if you go through my shit and you see something, I'm sorry, boo. I'm sorry. It's before I knew you. You know what I'm saying? You know, and, you know, me telling her, you know, all the people that I text, you know, all the people that I talk to on a daily basis, my female friends, you know, I get on the phone, I'm able to talk to them, I'm able to put it on loudspeaker and be like, yo, this is Kiera, nice to meet, like, you know, y'all can meet, blah, 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 all this different type of stuff. The level of honesty is unbarred. It's literally no secrets. You know what I'm saying? Down to the point where I could tell her, like, if somebody was to hit her up and be like, well, I did this with him, blah, 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 whatever, she already fucking knows. You know what I'm saying? Just the same thing where she already told me everything. So I already know.
Yeah, we'll be jumping in the DMs. Yeah, we talk about y'all. Like,
exactly. we already talked about it because, like we said, our twin flame lifestyle has literally been the same. So it's just like we talk about so much in our past to compare. Right. Like it'd be like, well, did you go to this too? So you're not surprising nobody. Exactly. So the honesty was number two. You know, being able to have that honesty and feel like now I can operate with somebody with no secrets.
Yeah.
Operating with somebody with no secrets, right? So that's number one, communication. Number two, honesty. And number three was probably just the likeness. For me, it was just the mirror image of each other. Like when it comes down to us both being artistic, you know what I'm saying? We both like to freaking do poetry. We both like to paint, draw. You know what I'm saying? We both like, you know, video games. You know what I'm saying? We both like a lot of the same things. We both enjoy a lot of the same things. It's to the point where I have never met anybody that literally fit like a fucking glove. It's like, what did they say during the O.J. Simpson trial?
It doesn't fit, it must quit.
Hey, look, that glove fit. That glove fit, so I guess I'm locked down. You know what I'm saying? I'm locked up. I'm in the freaking penitentiary now, baby. You know what I'm saying? That they done put the shackles on me. They done put the shackles on me. So, you know, like, but that's the biggest thing. You know what I'm saying? It's just like that mirror image of each other, that, you know, being able to look at my partner and see myself in them was the biggest major key. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's my 3 right there. That's my 3. So it's communication, honesty, and then, you know, being alike. You know what I'm saying? And these right here is, you know, that's, you know, the foundations that we saw as identifying your soulmate. I'm not going to say twin flame because not everybody is going to meet that, like a romantic twin flame. So what I'm going to say is, you like the foundations. You know, these are our personal 3, you know, deciding factors behind meeting your soulmate. You know, and you know, when I tell you, man, this has been a fucking beautiful journey. I am happier than I've ever been to meet this woman. You know what I'm saying? I've been happier. You know, I've been smiling. I've been looking at life in a different, you know, way. Everything has been way more vibrant. Like when I tell you, like I go outside sometimes just to go and embrace nature, and I see different shades of fucking green in the trees now. You know, like I look at, you know, I'm sorry, she didn't be here.
She passed out over here.
I look at the dogs and the animals and stuff. You know what I'm saying? You know, I look at the dogs and the animals different. And I see something in their spirit, and I connect with them different than I used to. I've always been close to animals, but you know, after meeting her, man, it's just been. I felt like such a connection. Like I felt such a deeper connection with my spirit. Such a deeper connection with God that now God is now delivering me deeper connections with life. So it's just one of them things, man. It's just like it gets deep. It gets deep. It gets deep. It gets deep when you meet your soulmate. I'm telling you, it's not just a relationship thing. It's a fucking life thing. When you meet them, everything changes. Everything changes. But let me let Sugar Bear go back to sleep. But you know, like I said, I don't want to let this be too long. But this has been a great conversation. You know, again, I'm Keith.
Kiera.
You might need to say that a little bit louder. You got
Kiera.
So yeah, but you know, and this is Keke's Key, and our mission is to guide and illuminate the path for the youth to be able to navigate these seas of love and spirituality and self-awareness so that they will be able to achieve the sense of enlightenment that we both have at a faster rate. We are both in our 30s. I'm 31, she's 32. You know what I'm saying? We're both in our 30s. It took us way too goddamn long to be able to get to where we are. I don't want that for our young ones. I don't want that for the kids that are coming up after us. So I want to be able to give these lessons, these life lessons to people and their children, you know, so that the future looks way brighter than the past. And that right there is the mission behind Keke's Key. I know this has been a long freaking message, but you know, I felt like this was an important message for us to get out. And, you know, without any more wasting your time, man, we hope that you guys have a blessed evening. And we're gonna catch you in the next video. And we're gonna continue to keep on dropping these videos. We're gonna try to get more consistent with it. We wanna try to do these videos on the same day as our gym days, which is Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So let's try to get at it. You know what I'm saying? Y'all are now a part. Anybody that's watching this video, you know what I'm saying? I don't care if you subscribe or whatever the case may be, but since you watched this video, you are now a part of the Keke's Key family. You are part of the Key tribe. You know what I'm saying? So you all are a major key. Thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you in the next video.
Love and light, y'all.